I'm Tamar from 3x3 Custom, and I'm partnering with Family Handyman to show you guys how to build a side table that doubles as a knockdown stool. It is a super quick and easy DIY project that you can build with your RYOBI tools. Supply-wise, you'll need a RYOBI drill, a RYOBI jigsaw, paint or stain of your choice, a combination square, sander, sandpaper, and a 2x4 sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. First up, break your plywood into 3 parts that will become the stool. Using your RYOBI jigsaw, cut 2 pieces at 20 inches by 10 inches for the base, and cut 1 piece at 12 inches by 12 inches for the top. We'll be making half-lap joints to hold these pieces together. Plywood thicknesses can vary, so you'll want to use the plywood itself as a reference for marking out your cuts. Place one of the legs perpendicular to the other, making sure it's centered. Mark either side of the perpendicular board. Extend those lines up to half the length of the board, about 10 inches, to get the perfect length for the lap joint. Repeat the same process on the other leg piece. Using a straight edge clamped to the workpiece, carefully cut away your marks using your RYOBI jigsaw. You want to stay as close to the line as possible, making sure not to go over it. After cutting both pieces, they should fit nicely into each other, but if they don't, you can use a file or sandpaper until you get the perfect fit. The top of the stool is going to be round, but before you cut it to shape, you need to make some layout lines because it's easier to reference a square edge. Make a mortise in the shape of an X that the top of the legs will sit in. Mark the top into equal halves. Then, using the plywood for reference again, make marks for how wide to cut that mortise, and bring those lines all the way up the board. Repeat the same process on the other edge of the top to complete the X. You need to drill holes using the RYOBI drill in the corners of the X so the blade will fit in. Now, on your X, you want to make a line 3 inches up from each edge to create a smaller X that will be cut out. Use a compass at the center point to draw the circle that will be cut later. Then, using a straight edge as a guide again, cut out the X. Cut off the corners to cut the top into the circle, and don't worry if your circle isn't perfect, you can use the RYOBI sander to even it all out. Using the RYOBI jigsaw again, cut out notches at the top of the legs so the base fits nicely into the mortise. These notches are 2 inches wide and as deep as the plywood thickness you are using. Make sure you are cutting the notches on the right ends of the legs. One piece will have the lap joint cut at the top and the other will not. The stool is basically done now, but it just feels a bit too bulky to me. To lighten it up, I cut an angle in the sides of the legs using the jigsaw. I marked 11.5 inches up from the bottom of the legs and 2.5 inches from the sides. Then drew lines from that mark to each corner to get the shape I wanted. The cutting is all done. Now it's time to sand everything smooth with the RYOBI sander. The final step is to paint or stain with the color of your choice. This stool is meant to be a knockdown stool or side table that you can easily take apart and store away. I myself will store a few of these away as extra seating. See you next time on Family Handyman's How To.